You right there, guys? This is Dale, and this is a review of the Nerf Rival Apollo, an actual one this time, not an April Fool's video. Now, I've owned this blaster for the best part of 6 months. I put hundreds of rounds through it, and it's really let me get to know what it is, how it works, what its quirks are, and most importantly, I've given it a chance to break. And so with that in mind, on with the review. Now, the Apollo was one of the first blasters released in the Rival line back in 2015 alongside the Zeus. And instead of the traditional darts found in most Nerf guns, it actually fires the Rival balls. And so it goes without saying they are not cross-compatible. They tend to feature a high FPS out of the box compared to standard Nerf guns and are more focused on precision, and therefore they're after the teen and adult market. As a result of this, if you're trying to buy these in a shop, they often won't sell these to people under the age of 14 if you're physically in a shop. However, I've not actually seen any buying restrictions for getting these online. I originally bought this from Smith's myself at £25, and at the time they were doing an offer where they chuck in the 12-round magazine and some free ammo, but at the time of recording that, an offer's not available anymore. So let's go over some of the features of the Rival Apollo, starting with the first thing you're going to notice when you pick it up, the giant, chunky pistol grip. Now, this is very wide, it's very large, it's clearly designed for the adult hand, so if you're someone that's young, short, or have US President hands, then you might not find this particularly comfortable to hold for the adult hand, though it's just fine. At the base of the pistol grip is the mag release button. It's this little black one here. You press that in, that will allow the mag to eject. Now, on the subject of the mags, they are directional. There is a ridge at the front here, as well as the top mag retention button. These do need to go facing the front of the blaster when you put it in, otherwise the mag won't go in properly. It does go in with quite a nice solid click though, and it definitely stays in place there. It doesn't come out of its own accord, so very nice on that. Again, on the subject of the mags, it is compatible with the larger 12-round magazine. And once you've got that inserted, yes, it sticks out the bottom a little bit more, but it's not really in a particularly bad place. And for those 5 extra rounds, that extra bulk is definitely worth it in my opinion. With the rounds themselves though, they are very squishy. And because of that, you can actually load an additional one in, so you can make 13 and 8 fit in these. However, I don't recommend that, as you might run into feeding troubles with that first round, so just keep it at 12 and 7. Because the rounds are squishy as well though, it means that it's quite hard to keep them in this mag for the mech. So if you wave the mag around a bit too much, the rounds might actually fly out of it and you might lose all your ammo that way, so just careful that you don't do that. Other features of the gun then. Up at the front, you do not have an end strike attachment point. This is just a front bore thing. It doesn't actually fit with other end strike attachments. You can't add additional barrels onto this. This is all you have. You have a Nerf Rival attachment rail at the top here. Now, this is different from the end strike ones you find on most ones. Whilst some end strike attachments will fit on the gun, you kind of have to clip them in from the side. They don't slide on like they normally do. You can fit some Nerf attachments onto this. It's really designed for the Rival specific attachments, however, so they'll go on it quite nicely. A bit like these mag retention clips that I got once. I ordered the gun and had the spare 12-round mag. That allows you to store an extra mag up on the top there. And I like storing the original 7-round on there. The 12's a bit too long, but that's just nice. It doesn't get in the way particularly much. You can look down the top and you still got a decent aiming point. So nice that they have a tack rail. Just be careful with the compatibility of it. The end strike stuff does kind of go on. Picatinny and Weaver stuff, even though it does look like it should, absolutely does not. It's not compatible with those. Other features of the gun, right at the back, is the priming indicator. Now, once you actually prime the gun back, you've got the spring good to go. This will turn orange. I think it's in a bit of a daft place though, because if you've got it shouldered like you should, you can't really see it because it's back here. I think it would have been better if it was up at the front somewhere, so you can actually just look down and glance and see it, but that's my opinion. Onto the prime itself then, it's this black bar at the top that does it. You press it back, forward, and now it's good to go. And you're good to fire 1 round. It's a spring gun, so it'll only fire 1 with every pull of that. On the subject of that though, it's not the nicest action in the world. Compared to normal Nerf guns, it's got a little bit more effort required in pulling it back. If you've got the gun braced against your shoulders, then it'll do fine. But it's also very ratchety, so like you can hear each individual mechanical lock move out of the way when you pull it back, and it's really quite ratchety and grindy when you do that. It's not nice. If you do it quickly enough, then it's less of an issue. You don't feel it quite as much, but if you're really struggling to pull it back, it just it just doesn't feel particularly nice when you do that. So make sure you do it as quick as possible in order so that it actually feels like a decent prime. On the subject of doing it as quick as possible though, try not to do it too quickly. I've had it jam a couple of times where I've tried to cycle it through as quick as possible, and what happens is the round actually gets jammed once the cylinder's going back into place, so it just kind of locks it in there. And because of the mechanical locks, you can't really get that out unless you disengage it. And that comes to the last feature of the gun, which is this unjamming button here. You press this down and that allows you to move the priming bar freely. So it just gets rid of all the mechanical locks. It allows you to get that jammed round out of there and just clears the gun. Because of that though, you can actually game the system and load 2 rounds in. What you do with that is you just prime it normally with the mag in, hold the button down, prime it again, and now you've got 2 rounds chambered and good to go. And so it'll shotgun both out at once, which is quite fun to do. They're going to come out at a lower FPS, you won't get quite as much range, but it's just fun to do nonetheless. So other features of the gun are this little handguard up here. It kind of acts as like a little bit of an angled grip for me because it's so large. You can easily get a thumb and a couple of fingers in there, or just brace the front of your hand against it. Just careful you don't put your thumb in front of the barrel if you're doing that. And overall, I'm quite happy with the shell design. I think the back of it should have been made more of like a stock. It's clearly not been designed as that, even though it's long enough to be. So it's a little bit uncomfortable. So something that they could look at doing for the next revision, which they did with the Helios. Another thing about the shell is that it's quite cool when you look at this side. Not so much when they're this side, because they only painted one half of it. Was it really that hard to just paint both sides of it? You tend to find that Nerf does this with a lot of their modern guns at the moment, which is quite disappointing for me. But overall, the Rival Apollo is quite a nice package. So onto the firing demo. Now the Apollo has no iron sights to speak of, mainly because the priming bar gets in the way of those. However, the 2 clips that come with the spare mag make quite a decent reference point when you line them up and look just between the top points, so we're going to be using those. We're now 25 feet, which is about 7.5 metres away from the target, which are a bunch of red cups downrange. We've got a full 12 round magazine, so let's just see how many we can knock down. Oh! That was a ricochet. That came in from behind the cups. It hit the window, bounced back, and just dinged it down. That was lovely. Oh, just a bit high. Just finish off the middle stack entirely. Okay, so we've rearranged the cup stack around slightly, tried to make it a bit taller and thinner. So the idea is to try and pick off the top ones and deconstruct it top to bottom. Probably not going to work, but we'll do the best we can. And there goes most of Tower 1 in shot 1. Oh, collateral kill on the side, liking that. That was definitely a ricochet. Ooh, slightly above. And again. I'm finding it quite interesting what the rounds are doing. Some of them will just fly dead straight as an arrow with no deviation at all, and then some of them tend to go a little bit all over the place. I suspect it's because I took these outside to do my filming of the Nerf Airsoft video and all that, and I suspect it's affected the consistency of it because they might have absorbed a little bit of water, but that's just my working theory. I'm not trying to make excuses for it. I just think that's what's happening with it. But anyway, what we're going to do with this one, I've rearranged the cups again to make them a bit more chunky, and we're going to show the double priming feature of this, where you can fire 2 at once. So 1 round is now in, press that button down, that should have 2. Let's see. And both missed, because of course they did. Let's go for the big one, not me, that again. There we go, one of them got it. Oh, both of them pretty much on the same spot. And 2 misses again. One went over, one went under. So ultimately then, I really do like and recommend the Nerf Rival Apollo. I think it's a great entry point into firing the rival rounds, and although some more modern blasters have come out recently that have kind of surpassed it, it still definitely has its place in the line. The Helios, for example, works in very much the same way, but tends to be a bit more expensive, and the Kronos is smaller and cheaper, but can only hold 5 rounds maximum, whereas this can hold 12. So this definitely does have its place. Since it's been out for a few years, a lot of mods have been discovered for it though, so you can remove all the mechanical locks inside that I complained about earlier. If you fiddle around with the air seal, you can get a higher FPS using the standard spring, and whilst you've got it open, you might as well take out that standard spring and fit in an upgraded one. These are all options available. Also, if you don't like the top priming action very much, there exists a 3D printed kit which turns this into a pump action gun, so that might solve that issue for you. So to summarise then, I really definitely like the Apollo. As I say, it's a great entry point into the rival line, and once you've got this, you're definitely outperforming the standard dart guns. It shoots harder, it shoots more accurately, and so in those standard across the room situations, this is definitely an advantage to have over a standard elite blaster. Now, if you've got any questions or you'd like to leave a comment, just leave it down below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And until next time, this has been Dale of Lone Wombat Airsoft.